When you are in your 20s, you are handed a set of tools. You are given the raw energy of youth, the vast, open landscape of time, the sharp ambition to build something meaningful, something that lasts. You are given the hammer of effort and the lanes of opportunity. You are given all of this, but you are not given the instruction manual. So you begin to build. You look around at how others are building their lives, and you start to copy their blueprints. There is the blueprint of external validation, which tells you to build your walls with the bricks of other people's opinions. It looks impressive from the outside, but it is hollow and fragile and can be shattered by a single word of criticism. There is the blueprint of chasing motivation, which tells you to only build when you feel like it. This leads to a life of inconsistent effort, a half-finished structure exposed to the elements, built only on sunny days. And there is the most seductive blueprint of all, the blueprint of comfort. It tells you to build in the easiest places, to avoid the hard ground, to use the lightest materials. It promises a life of ease, but it delivers a foundation of sand. And so you build with all your energy and all your effort. For a while, the structure seems to hold, but then, inevitably, the cracks begin to appear. The subtle sense of unfulfillment, like a cold draft coming through a wall you thought was solid. The same frustrating patterns repeating in your career and relationships, like a door that always sticks, no matter how many times you fix it. A quiet anxiety that whispers you are not on the right path, that the structure you are building is not truly your home. You start to think the problem is your tools. Maybe I don't have enough energy. You think the problem is your effort. Maybe I'm not working hard enough. Let me tell you the truth. The problem was never your tools. The problem was never your effort. The problem was the manual. You were building with the wrong principles. You were building on illusions. Today, I will not give you more tools. I will not tell you to simply work harder. Today, I will share with you 12 pages from that missing instruction manual. These are the 12 hard truths I wish someone had handed me when I was 20. They are not popular opinions. They are not easy fixes. They are the unshakable principles of reality itself, the bedrock upon which a strong, meaningful life is built. These truths will challenge you. They may even anger you, but they will also, ultimately, set you free. They will allow you to stop patching the cracks, and instead begin to build a structure that can withstand any storm. Let us begin with the first foundation stone, the first page of the missing manual, the one that comes before all others, contains the most difficult and the most liberating truth. It is the foundation stone upon which everything else must be built. If this stone is not laid correctly, any structure you build will eventually collapse. This chapter is about sovereignty, and the first lesson is this. Hard truth number 1. No one is coming to save you. Read those words again. Let them land. This is not a cynical statement. It is not a call for isolation or a rejection of community. We are social beings. We need connection, support, and collaboration to thrive. But this truth is about destroying the fantasy of the rescuer. In your 20s, it is easy to live in a state of subtle, passive waiting for the perfect job to give you a purpose, waiting for the perfect partner to make you feel whole, waiting for a mentor, a government, a lottery win, or some external event to arrive and solve the fundamental problems of your life. This is a dream, and while you are dreaming, your life is passing you by. A moment you truly, deeply accept that you are the sole person responsible for your emotional state, your financial situation, your career path, and your physical health. Something miraculous happens, a waiting ends. The search for a savior stops, the blame game dissolves, and you discover something far more powerful than a rescuer. You discover the archetype. You realize that you are the only one with the power to pick up your own tools and build your own rescue. The responsibility is terrifying, but the freedom it grants is absolute. Once you stop looking outside for a savior, you are forced to look inside. This is the only place from which you can build. And this leads directly to hard truth number 2. Your external world is a direct reflection of your internal state. Think of your mind as a projector. The world around you is the screen. If the film running in the projector is one of chaos, resentment, and disorder. That is the film you will project onto every situation, every relationship, every opportunity you encounter. If you carry inner conflict, you will find and create conflict everywhere you go. If you carry a deep sense of scarcity within you, you will see lack and limitation no matter how much abundance surrounds you. If your inner world is defined by self-criticism, the entire world will sound like it is judging you. We do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. This is why two people can experience the exact same event, and one will see it as a catastrophe, while the other sees it as an opportunity. The event itself is neutral. The projector is what gives it meaning. For years you may have tried to fix the screen. You tried to change your job, your city, your partner, hoping the picture will improve. But the true work, the only work that creates lasting change, is to clean the lens and change the film inside the projector. When you cultivate inner order, discipline, and clarity, the projection changes. You begin to see opportunity, connection, and order where before there was only chaos. So, you are the architect, and your inner state is the blueprint. But what material must you build with? This brings us to the final truth in this foundation. Hard truth number 3. You cannot negotiate with reality. Much of the energy we waste in our 20s is spent in fruitless negotiation. We argue with our past, wishing we had made different choices. We complain about circumstances we cannot change, like the weather or the economy. We resent people for being who they are, instead of who we wish they were. This is the definition of insanity. It is like a builder trying to argue with the law of gravity. Reality will always win. Acceptance is not resignation. Resignation is a state of passive defeat. Acceptance is a state of active clarity. It is the courageous act of seeing things exactly as they are, without the distorting filter of your desires or your fears. It is the moment you stop fighting the storm and start building a better boat. You cannot solve a problem you refuse to see clearly. You cannot build on land you pretend is not there. Radical acceptance of what is the starting point for all effective action. These 3 truths form the foundation of a sovereign life. You are responsible. Your inner world creates your outer world, and your power begins the moment you stop arguing with reality. Once you build on this foundation, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are an architect, ready to manage the true currency of your kingdom. Once you have laid the foundation of sovereignty by accepting radical responsibility, the next task of the architect is to understand and master the materials he has to work with. Your most precious building materials are not external. They are not your money, your job title, or your social status. They are the internal resources that you alone control. This brings us to the next chapter of the manual, which is about mastering the currency of your inner kingdom. Hard truth number 4. Your feelings are the weather, not the map. In your 20s, you are taught a dangerous lie. Follow your passion. Do what feels good. Trust your gut. This implies that your feelings are a reliable compass for navigating life. They are not. Your feelings are chaotic, unreliable, and often a direct contradiction to what you truly need to do to achieve your long-term goals. Think of your mind as the sky. Your feelings, happiness, sadness, anger, motivation, boredom, are the weather. One day there is a thunderstorm of anger. The next, a thick fog of sadness. On a rare day, there is perfect sunshine. The weather is constantly changing. A wise builder does not cancel construction every time it rains. A wise captain does not abandon his destination every time a storm appears. He acknowledges the weather. He prepares for it. But he navigates by the map and the compass, not by the shifting winds. Your values are your map. Your discipline is your compass. Your feelings are just the weather. The work that is most important for your growth will often be the work you feel least like doing. The workout on a cold morning, the difficult conversation you have been avoiding, the deep, focused work when you feel bored and distracted. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will live a life of mediocrity, forever a slave to the internal weather. The master architect builds regardless of the weather. This is the essence of discipline. And discipline is required most in the management of your most valuable resource, which leads to hard truth number 5. Your attention is your most valuable currency. In the 21st century, you are living in the middle of a war. It is a silent war, and the territory being fought over is your mind. Every notification, every advertisement, every news headline, every piece of content is an army trying to conquer a piece of your attention. In your 20s, you give it away for free. You spend this priceless currency on cheap distractions, on other people's dramas, on endless scrolling that leaves you feeling more empty than when you began. You must understand this. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Whatever you focus on, you amplify. If you focus on problems, your problems will grow. If you focus on gratitude, your sense of abundance will grow. If you focus on the disciplined execution of your goals, your competence and reality will expand. Protecting your attention is one of the most critical jobs of a sovereign architect. It means being ruthless about what you let into your mind. It means creating sacred blocks of time for deep but interrupted focus on what truly matters. It means choosing to be the master of your technology, not its slave. You would not let thieves walk into your house and steal your possessions. So why do you let them walk into your mind and steal your attention? It is infinitely more valuable. This leads to the final truth of managing your inner world. If your attention is the currency, how do you invest it? Hard truth number 6. You are what you repeatedly do. Your habits are the architects of your destiny. In your 20s, you believe your life is defined by big moments, the graduation, the new job, the dramatic decision. These are merely scenes in the movie. But the director of the movie, the force that determines the entire plot, is your habits. Your future self is not being built by your occasional grand ambitions. It is being built by what you do today, by the food you just ate, by the hour you just spent, by the conversation you just had. Every single action, no matter how small, is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. A habit is simply an action that has been automated by your brain to save energy. It is a neural pathway that you have paved through repetition. This can be a prison, or it can be a superpower. Most people live in a prison of unconscious, reactive habits that build a life they did not choose. The master architect consciously chooses and designs their habits. They understand that building a great life is not an act of intensity, but an act of consistency. They do not rely on motivation. They build systems and rituals. They automate excellence. They know that every small, positive habit, the daily meditation, the daily workout, the daily reading, the daily act of creation, is a brick being laid in the foundation of their future empire. Do not ask what you want your life to look like. Ask what your daily habits look like. The first will answer to the second. Always, you have laid the foundation of sovereignty. You understand that your attention and your habits are the currency and the architects of your kingdom. But how does that kingdom grow? How does the architect build not just a stable structure, but a magnificent one? This brings us to the engine room of progress. This chapter of the manual is not glamorous. It is not comfortable, but it is where all true strength is forged. Hard truth number 7. Comfort is the enemy of potential. Voluntary hardship is the path to strength. Modern society is a machine designed to sell you comfort. Comfortable cars, comfortable food, comfortable entertainment, comfortable ideas.
In your 20s,
You are taught to believe that the goal of life is to accumulate as much comfort and avoid as much pain as possible. And this is the single most dangerous lie you will ever be told, because it is the inverse of the fundamental law of growth. Growth does not happen in comfort. Growth happens at the edge of your ability. A muscle only grows when it is subjected to resistance that is slightly beyond its current capacity. Your character, your resilience, your skills, and your spirit work in exactly the same way. Its voluntary hardship is the act of consciously and deliberately choosing to do difficult things. It is the cold shower when you want a warm one. It is the difficult workout when your body wants to rest. It is reading a challenging book instead of scrolling through social media. It is choosing the path of resistance, not because you enjoy pain, but because you understand that the resistance is what creates you. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you are casting a vote for a weaker version of yourself. Every time you embrace voluntary hardship, you are forging a stronger one. The person who has consistently chosen the difficult path is prepared for anything. The person who has spent their life seeking comfort is shattered by the first sign of real-world adversity. Do not let your potential die in the warm embrace of comfort. This principle of embracing hardship is powered by another truth. Hard truth number 8. Consistency will always defeat short-term intensity. In your 20s, you are obsessed with the grand gesture, the intense 2-week diet, the all-night study session before the exam, the heroic burst of work to meet a deadline. This approach is born from a Hollywood-style narrative of success, and it is fundamentally flawed. It is unsustainable, leads to burnout, and produces mediocre results over the long term. True mastery, in any field, is never the result of a single, intense effort. It is the result of thousands of small, consistent, and often boring repetitions. The master martial artist is not the one who practices for 12 hours once a month. He is the one who practices for 1 hour, every single day, for years. The successful author is not the one who waits for a flash of inspiration to write a chapter. She is the one who writes 500 unspectacular words, every single day, whether she feels like it or not. Consistency is the compound interest of self-development. The daily effort may seem insignificant. You may not see results for weeks, or even months. This is the point where most people quit. They crave the immediate dopamine hit of a dramatic result. But the master architect understands the long game. They know that each small, consistent action is a brick. One brick is nothing. But 1,000 bricks, laid one after another, day after day, can build an unshakable fortress. Stop looking for the shortcut. Stop trying to hack the system. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the repetition. The unsexy, daily discipline is the only true path to mastery. And you will need that discipline because it is the only antidote to the most painful emotion you will ever face. This is hard truth number 9. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. In the moment, the choice is always clear. The pain of doing the difficult thing, waking up early, making the sales call, having the honest conversation is immediate and sharp. The comfort of avoiding it is also immediate and soothing. And in your 20s, you are wired to choose the immediate reward. What you don't realize is that you are making a trade. You are trading a small, finite amount of present-day pain for a massive, infinite amount of future pain. The pain of discipline is like the burning in your muscles during a workout. It's a clean pain. It's productive. It lasts for an hour, and then it is replaced by strength. The pain of regret is a sickness of the soul. It is the ghost of the person you could have become. It is the haunting question, what if I had started then? What if I had taken that risk? What if I hadn't given up? That pain does not fade. It compounds over time, poisoning your present with the failures of your past. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. Every time you're faced with the choice between the easy path and the hard path, understand that you are not just making a choice about today. You are making a choice about which kind of pain you want to live with for the rest of your life. Choose the pain that serves you. You have laid the foundation of sovereignty. You have learned to master your inner resources. You understand that the engine of your growth is fueled by discipline and consistency. Now, we arrive at the final pages of the manual, and it is here that we discover the great paradox of a well-lived life. It is the understanding that the things you spent your 20s running away from, structure, commitment, responsibility are, in fact, the only pathways to the things you truly desire. This final chapter is about the nature of real power and freedom. Hard truth number 10. The highest form of freedom is self-discipline. In your 20s, you think of freedom as the absence of constraint. The freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. The freedom from a schedule, from commitment, from rules. This is the definition of a child's freedom. It is a fragile and chaotic freedom that, ironically, always leads to enslavement. The person who lacks financial discipline is not free. They are a slave to their bills and their debt. The person who lacks health discipline is not free. They are a slave to their low energy, their physical limitations, and their future illnesses. The person who lacks emotional discipline is not free. They are a slave to their every whim, their every reaction, their every toxic impulse. True freedom, the freedom of the sovereign architect, is the exact opposite. It is the power to choose. It is the ability to subordinate your immediate impulses to your long-term values. It is the strength to build the future you desire, rather than being a victim of the future your appetites create for you. And what is the source of this power to choose? It is discipline. Discipline is not a prison. It is the key that unlocks the prison of your own weaknesses. Every act of discipline carves out a little more freedom for your future self. It is the structure that gives you the power to direct your own life, rather than being directed by it. This leads to the next paradox, which is about the source of true self-worth. Hard truth number 11. True confidence is not a feeling. It is the reputation you have with yourself. In your 20s, you chase the feeling of confidence. You think it comes from external validation, from praise, from achievements, from looking a certain way. You try to think positively or use affirmations to trick yourself into feeling confident. This is like trying to build a roof without walls. The first gust of wind, a single failure, a single criticism will cause it to collapse. True confidence, the unshakable confidence of a master, is not a feeling at all. It is an internal state of being that is earned, not wished for. It is the direct result of one thing: keeping the promises you make to yourself. Every time you say you are going to wake up early, and you do it, you build confidence. Every time you promise yourself you will finish a task, and you see it through, you build confidence. Every time you choose the pain of discipline over the ease of comfort, you build confidence. It is the quiet, internal knowledge that when you give your own word, it means something. Confidence is not a prerequisite for taking action. It is the byproduct of taking action. Stop trying to feel confident. Start becoming the person who keeps their promises. The feeling you are chasing will simply be a quiet, unshakable side effect. This brings us to the final truth. After all the building, all the discipline, all the mastery, what is the ultimate purpose? Hard truth number 12. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your presence. In your 20s, you are obsessed with the future. You live in a constant state of when then. When I get the promotion, then I'll be happy. When I find the right partner, then my life will be complete. When I achieve this goal, then I can finally relax. You sacrifice your present moment on the altar of a future that may never arrive in the way you imagine. You can achieve every goal you set for yourself. You can build the most magnificent external structure imaginable. But if you arrive in that future palace of your own making and your mind is still elsewhere, still worrying, still planning, still distracted, then you have gained nothing. You have built a beautiful home that you are never present enough to live in. The ultimate goal of all this discipline, all this mastery, is not just to build a great future. It is to build the capacity to fully inhabit the present moment. Your presence is the greatest gift you can give to your work, to your relationships, and to yourself. It is the ability to be fully where you are, without the internal noise of the past or the future. It is in this state of presence that you experience true connection, true creativity, and true peace. All the hard truths, all the discipline, all the work, it is all a path back to this simple, profound state. The ability to just be here, now, full it. That is the final masterpiece of the architect. And so, we arrive at the end of these pages from the missing manual. 12 hard truths, 12 foundations, from the terrifying and liberating acceptance that you are the only architect of your life, to the profound understanding that all of this work is simply a path back to the present moment. In your 20s, you think you have all the time in the world. You see these principles and you think, I will start tomorrow. But the days turn into weeks, the weeks into years, and soon you find that the foundation you failed to build in your youth is the prison you inhabit in your middle age. But I will tell you another truth. It is never too late to become the architect. It does not matter if you are 20, 40, or 60. It does not matter if the structure you have built so far is cracked and unstable. The past was your practice. The past was the lesson. Today is the first day of your real work. You now have the principles. You now have the manual. You have been reintroduced to the tools you were given all those years ago. But this time, you understand their true purpose. The energy you feel is not for chasing fleeting pleasures, but for the disciplined construction of a meaningful life. The time you have is not an endless ocean for distraction, but a finite number of bricks to be laid with intention. And the ambition you feel is not for the applause of others, but for earning the quiet respect of the person you see in the mirror. You were never meant to be a victim of your past. You were not designed to be a slave to your impulses. You were, and still are, designed to be a creator, an architect. So the question is no longer, why wasn't I told this sooner? The only question that matters now is, what will you build? The space below this video is not just a comment section. Think of it as the drafting table for your new project, the place where you make your first mark. My question for you is simple. Looking back on these 12 truths, what is the very first brick you will lay differently, starting today? You do not need to build the entire cathedral tomorrow. You only need to lay one brick correctly. Perhaps your first brick is radical responsibility, and you will stop blaming one person for one thing in your life. Perhaps it is mastering your attention, and you will delete one app that steals your focus. Perhaps it is voluntary hardship, and you will choose one difficult thing to do tomorrow. Share that first, single action with us. Each declaration made here is a foundation stone for your own new beginning, and a source of light for everyone else on this path. The manual is now in your hands. The work begins.